Hello, good morning, everyone.
Morning, ma'am.
Good morning. Good morning, sir. I'm Arvind Dhingra from behalf of City University welcomes you. Please welcome Dr. Arvind Dhingra. He is a seasoned profession having over 7 years of industrial and academic experience. He graduated from MREC. Now it will be pronounced as MNIT Jaipur. Did his MBA from IGNO and MTech from PDU, followed by PhD from NIT Kurukshetra. He has published over 85 papers in various national and international journals and conferences. He has delivered more than 80 talks at various national and international forums. He is certified in energy auditor, as well as he has been holding the charge of executive director at GNDC since 2018 and has mentored several successful startups. His research interests include energy management and audit, power quality, and entrepreneurship. So we would like very privileged to have you for this expert session. So without wasting any more time, I would like to hand over the session to you. And please, sir, we will start with the session.
Thank you, ma'am. You'll have to make me the host so that I can share my screen.
Yeah, for sure, sir.
Host, please. Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the session planned for emerging markets. So let me just see if I can share my screen. Yeah, I can. Thank you. Okay. Yes. All right. So that's fine. All right. So the topic given today is innovation in emerging markets, challenges and opportunities for entrepreneurship. Uh, Interesting one. Let's start with we need some companion to be with us. So let's introduce one Supandi. This fellow is called Supandi. He's a nice guy. He's a good friend of mine. And he'll keep disturbing you in between the presentation also. Sometimes he'll be very curious. He likes to ask questions. That is very important out here. And sometimes give some answers also. Sometimes might get philosophical. Without answering him, we can't go forward. That is the crux behind it. So let's embark on this journey with our good friend Supandi. Let me give you certain examples, not very far back, around 10 years or 12 years back, and what happened.
Sorry, आवाज विच आ रही या तो वॉल्यूम बंद कर
हाँ जी मैम
हेडफोन लग
हेलो is the volume okay? All right. So before we start, I'll just give you some examples as to what emerging markets mean to people. Starbucks uses joint venture to enter Indian market. This was one of the headlines way back in 2012. And when Starbucks came into India. And for Ludhiana also, we know when Starbucks came to Ludhiana, what was the craze and how many people went to, for Starbucks the first day itself. It was a 50-50 joint venture with Tata Global Beverages. And Starbucks is already operating in more than 17,000 cafes with about 6,000 of more in 50 nations outside the US. This is what we were talking of. Jaguar Land Rover, the car makers, jointly owned by Tata Group, opened its first assembly plant in India in 2011. The plant will initially assemble car kits shipped from JLR's plant at Halewood in UK. Now, why this was taken up was taxation is a key driver of the investment. India's federal government levies more than 100% tax on fully built imported vehicles, but whose engines and gearboxes are assembled in India attract an import tax of only 10%. So a lot of saving out here on the tax. Then let's come down to another example. Heinz, the sauce maker and the jam maker, entered into Brazil and China. The acquisitions in Brazil and China put the emerging markets on track to generate more than 20% of the company's total sale in 2012, up from 16% in 2011. The acquisitions are the latest examples of successful buy and build strategy in emerging markets, where we have acquired and grown strong local brands, businesses, the key markets of China, India, Indonesia, Russia, Poland, and now Brazil. By the way, emerging markets we are going to do by this particular. Okay, there is a. If you permit for a minute, I'll just change my internet connection. Might be a little disturbance. Sorry for the interruption. 1 minute, please give me a minute. Can we talk in a moment? Just 1 minute. Just 1 minute. Hope slides are visible and I am also visible. Yeah, the people online. Anybody online can confirm that we are online and you're able to hear me, please.
Yes, sir, you are audible to
Okay,
all.
thank you. So let's continue further. Now, Samsung is investing in the Chinese production. Despite the concerns that leaking the loss of technology, Samsung still wants to operate a manufacturing unit plant in China. Global chip market is worth almost pound. Just a moment. Just a moment. Yeah. Global chip market is almost worth pound 20 billion per annum, and Chinese market is expected to be almost half of that. And okay. So chip manufacturing needs to be closed. Sorry, just yeah, needs to be close to the end customer in order to be very competitive. This is what it is there in Samsung's case. Then Diageo's Chinese takeover. Global drinks giant Diageo is finalizing a deal to buy Chinese Baijiu brand Shui Jing Fang, as it's basically a beverage brand. So again, case of emerging markets. And then there is another interesting example of Chinese investment in the West. The investment in the emerging markets isn't just one-way traffic. Chinese multinational firms like here, Huawei, Mindray have entered in developed markets like Europe and United States. Chinese companies have two ways to expand overseas, either organically by scaling their existing operations or inorganically by buying the foreign rivals. Rickets. Our own India, Rakesh Kapoor, took over as CEO of Ricket Banksir in 2011. Hopes half of the core sales will come from emerging markets by 2016. These are some old data just to sensitize you what is an emerging market and when did they come into picture. Right? So, what is an emerging market then? Emerging market is used to describe a country in the process of rapid growth and industrialization. So, as per this particular definition, India fits perfectly into this definition and is a destination emerging market. Emerging markets are the countries that are restructuring their economies along the market-oriented lines and offer a wealth of opportunities in trade, technology transfers, and foreign direct investment. So all these elements are also available in the Indian market. The term emerging markets was coined by Anthony Van Eggmail, and it dates back to 1981. Let's understand some of the terms which are invariably used by economists or by market people. GDP, it is the gross domestic product equal to the sum of income generated by production in the country in the given period. If you say the GDP of the country is so many billions, or we want our economy to become 3 trillion by 2025, so this is one of the terms which is going to be helping us out. Then it is the purchasing power parity, long-term equilibrium exchange rate of two currencies to equalize their purchasing power. Just for example, you buy a bread in our country and you buy a bread in UK, and what is the price difference when they will be equal? Something like that. So then again, There comes my friend again. There's money, honey. Something is happening. Why there is so much of buzz? Why people are harping on the emerging markets? Let's take a deep look into it. Supandi is helping us out. There are some statistics which are available by Goldman Sachs. Goldman Sachs is one of the leading economic analysts in the world. By 2050, the combined economies of BRIC, I'll introduce you a little later. BRIC is Brazil, Russia, India, and China. The combined economies of BRIC could eclipse the combined economies of the current richest countries of the world. These four countries together will overtake everybody else in the world by 2050, and it might happen a little earlier also, given the pace right now and given the kind of recession Europe is facing. These countries can pass over 25% of the world's land coverage, 40% of world's population, it is a little more right now, and hold a combined GDP purchasing power parity of $15.435 trillion. A very, very good figure for anybody, any business to invest in. These four countries are among the biggest and the fastest growing emerging markets. Doing business with transition economies. Now, these economies are in transition stage. And when anything is in transition, anything which is changing from one state of to another state, there is turbulence. And turbulence might favor you, might disfavor you. So there is a risk involved. The major market economies emerging out of formerly centrally planned economies are Russia and the now independent states of former Soviet Union, Eastern and Central European nations, for example, Albania, Bulgaria, Czech and Slovak republics, Hungary, Poland, Romania. Most of these were socialist in their genesis or in their history. And they became the market-oriented economies very, very recently. After the collapse of Soviet Union in 1989, with an unexpected suddenness, the Iron Curtain disappeared. There was a strong curtain wherein there was a clear divide between US and the Russians, socialist and the economists. So that is how it is. Within 3 years, the communist empire ceased to exist. Eastern Europe and former Soviet Union shifted their political and economic orientations toward a market economy. Trade flows were redirected because trade goes where the business is, where the buyer is, where the production is, where you get cheap raw material, where you get cheap labor. Austerity programs were introduced, which led to a decrease in the standard of living. All of these changes ended the Cold War. Now, what is developed or developing? What is the difference? Developing economies become emerging markets and then they become developed economies, leading from probable economic and political instability to probably economic and politically more stable, and also having a reliable legal infrastructure. Right? Now, if you talk of legal infrastructure in our country, you can see even in the civil courts also, a lot of cases are lying pending. And if you talk of corporate law, the cases are enormous. The legal system has to be very strong in case you want to attract people to come down to your place. What are the realities of economic change? Many transition economies face infrastructure shortages, as we were facing. We were facing shortage of the rail links, shortage of roads, number of airports were less, which is being developed at a very fast pace right now. Capital shortages are also a major constraint. The amount of money flow is less. It is difficult for corporations to respond to demand because the consumer knowledge is vague. The consumer is not aware. He is aware that I need a product which should be fulfilling these needs. He is not clear what kind of a product he wants, how durable he wants it, how resilient he wants it. And he's also not very sure of whether he'll be able to use it or not. The consumer has a very vague kind of idea and is very confused. allocation mentality or waiting for instructions from the above represent a management problem. Now, here, what is happening? You wait for the instruction coming from the top management to the middle management to the down level to the worker. Yet you have to do this, make this product. And this is all to be made. This is the order, which is very, very important for us. Now we are waiting for instructions. This is one of the realities of economic change. Employee and manager commitment can be hard to find. Since you have an open economy, people have a lot of jobs on their hand. They switch on jobs very easily. So the loyalty is very hard to find. The changes complicate the managerial decision-making process. HR, the process is very, very difficult. How to have people and how to retain people, good people. That is very important. So, given the poor market orientation in the previous business environment, managers must adapt their behaviors in these areas. Earlier, the market orientation was very poor. It was okay, fine, whatever product you send into the market, it is going to sell. But here it is not. Here you need to solve the problem of the consumer. That is very important. Problem solving skills, decision making skills. Who will take the decision? Customer orientation. You need to wear the customer shoes to find out where it is going to pinch you. How are you going to reorient yourself? That is the customer orientation. And then team building is very important because loyal team, a team very well oiled, a team which is having a good leader, is having a good direction to work on, will definitely work very well. Adjusting to the global change, resistance to change, of course, is expected in countries that experience rapid economic and political change. See what is happening at a lot of places when our banks were computerized. I still remember lot of strikes came into picture, pen down strikes, and so on and so forth. People saying, "Sir, they'll be eating up our jobs. Will not be able to do better." Now, if you see the private sector banks, they do not want you to come down to their premises. Everything is available on your fingertips. So that is the change which has happened. There was a resistance to change, a lot of resistance. The established market economies of the West must also be prepared for change due to reorientation of trade flows, job shifts, declines in the employment, right? Okay. International business challenges. The frequent unavailability of convertible currency makes many products out of reach for citizens of emerging market economies. For example, if I am getting a product in dollars, it is going to be difficult for me because dollar rate is going to change. And it's also high. Convertible currency is making it difficult for me to buy it. Just one minute. सर मेरा एक ना सेशन चल रहा है हाँ जी आ रहे हैं हाँ जी ना वो सर नहीं उन्होंने 11 बजे शुरू करना है जी मेरी गल होगी सर करना सर है हाँ जी केडी सर है मैं भेज क्या नाम भेज ठीक है जी मैं करा दूँ मैं करा मैं करा देना जी मैं करा दूँ मैं करा दूँ मैं करा ठीक है जी Sorry for the interruption. The frequent unavailability of convertible currency makes many products out of reach for the citizens of emerging market economies. Lack of protection of intellectual property rights dissuade firms from investing in emerging market economies. Now, here also there is a problem. If I make an innovative product and if I do not secure the IPR rights, or if my IPR rights take a lot of time, IPR is intellectual property rights, somebody might copy the same product and sell it to the market and will be making more money than me. So I am in danger of losing the innovativeness of the product and also on the profit part of it. Attempting to source the products from emerging market economies can be problematic. They might not be able to fill up your demands. The quality of products can be inferior in emerging market economies. We have heard the case of Chinese markets, what they are doing. They are making products from scale to 1 to 10. 1 is the inferior product, 10 is the most good product which they sell to the developed markets. And then some transition economies have products that are unique in performance, can be successfully traded internationally. Consumer products in transition economies are gaining favor because of competitive pricing. Now, here, what is happening? The consumer products in the transition economies are basically working on the competitive pricing part of it. Like, so for example, if you are trying to buy say, a phone or something like that, you have got uh, very good market right now, and you can compare between uh, various models, right? So that is wherein the things come up. All right. And then there are substantial opportunities for technology transfer. Now, we Indians are very good at one technology, which is called as Jugaad. We fix up everything and at a very cheaper rate. So, how do we do it? Right? There are substantial, how do we transfer that technology? That is also very, very important. We have a lot of people working on the ground and a lot of street side labor who are very good, very innovative, but their technology transfer is not happening. Reasons for state-owned enterprises: earlier, the enterprises were bigger enterprises were state-owned only. The existence of in the emerging markets were increased national security was required, increased economic security was required. Investment is too large for the private sector at some places. For example, if you talk of the steel plants, the investment is too large. Governments rescue failing private enterprises by placing them in government ownership. Sometimes the government takes it over. State-owned firms are more socially oriented than the private firms, which are more profit-oriented. That is the case. Okay, three types of activities where firms are likely to encounter state-owned enterprises are in the market entry stage, when the government might say, for example, we had LIC, which was a monolith, government-owned. They've never allowed other people to come into picture until unless the government decentralized it. Then the sourcing or the market process. Where do you source it? Now, LIC has been working in the country for the last 100 years or so, and they have penetrated into the deeper pockets. The most, you could say, deep pockets of the country, and then they fear international competition. So if you open it up, now once the government opened up the insurance sector, you could see a lot of companies coming up, a lot of offerings coming up, and people calling you up and telling you, sir, this is also available, this policy is very good, and all that stuff, right? Drawbacks: competition is restrained in state-owned enterprises. International competitiveness of state-owned enterprises declines, resulting in need for government subsidies, and many government-controlled corporations are losing money because the focus is on job allocation rather than on the business part of it. The government is mostly overstaffing at most places. So this led to privatization, and through privatization, budgets can be reduced, more efficient services are provided, goods and services can be more competitive and innovative. Experience indicates that private enterprises outperform state-run companies. Privatization attracts foreign investment capital. Government can use proceeds from the privatization to help fund other pressing domestic needs. This is also important. Then, international firms, existing firms can be acquired at low cost, often with government support through tax exemptions, investment grants, special depreciation allowances. That is also allowed. And since wages are low in countries where privatization takes place, there is more opportunity to build low-cost manufacturing and sourcing bases. You see, if we compare even India and China also, the labor cost per unit of production in China is much cheaper than ours. So that is wherein the industry is shifting up, that the volumes are more there. The international firm can act as a catalyst by accelerating the pace of transferring business, skills, and technology, and by boosting the trade prospects. Now, the less developed markets in the world include, they are placed in the countries like Africa, Asia, Eastern Europe, Latin America, and the Middle East. The emergence of these markets presents a great opportunity for citizens and companies alike. Citizens get to know all the products in the world, and companies get a bigger customer base. Now, this is the World Economic Pyramid. Just see annual per capita income less than $1,500. We call it as a tier 4 company. They have a population of 4 billion people. Most of it, the population is out here. Just you can see out here. Then from $1,500 to $20,000, sorry, they are it is tier 2 and 3 countries, and the population is ranging from 1.5 to 1.75 billions. So these 3 tiers of the countries have almost 80 to 95% of the population of the world. This is only 1% out here. Now, what is the role of multinational firms? Multinational firms have experienced high rate of success when entering transition economies. The reason is they tend to enter sectors that allow high profit potential with minimal capital investments. They increase in size only after they gain experience and knowledge of local markets. There is a stunning example of a company called Alstom India Limited or Riva TND Limited, which is an electrical giant. And Alstom was into manufacturing of railway locomotives. They acquired what is called as a GEC of India. GEC was having a lot of manufacturing, 9 manufacturing facilities in the country, including the motors facility in Calcutta. Then you had a transformers facility in Cochin and Allahabad, and so on, and a switchgear facility in Bangalore, and so on and so forth. So they acquired, they had an acquisition from them, and they were able to expand like anything because they had the technological expertise from Europe to which could be transferred to this place. So they increase in size only after they gain experience and knowledge of the local markets. The government in transition economies award special privileges to multinational firms. As multinational firms mature in these economies, the domestic market itself becomes a market opportunity. Right? Just one. Now, world-class competition. Many economies now recognize that they must be world-class competitors in order to develop business. Now, if an Indian company wants to enter into an international market, you have to give a product which is of international standards. Otherwise, it will not sell. It will come back to you. And you will have a lot of issues. Domestic firms enter into joint ventures with global firms to tap into their knowledge base and success. This can be difficult given the domestic firms rarely have significant capital to contribute. Right? Now, what are the features of emerging markets? We have been talking of emerging markets. Economy is making a transition. They can be classified as emerging markets because they are trying to shift from one set of rules to another set of rules. A closed economy to an open economy. Then rapid industrialization, development of secondary and tertiary sectors. What is happening? If somebody opening a company out here or somebody sets up a unit out here, he also needs some ancillary services. So where does he get it from? He is not bringing it from his own country, his home country. It is homegrown out here. There are stunning examples here. When Hero started developing their plants in Daruheda, a lot of ancillary units came up around so that they could cater to Hero's requirements out there. Have potential to become developed economies, faster long-term economic growth than most developed economies. Of course, emerging markets are much faster growing. Many inhabitants are still in poverty. Businesses struggle to access the global markets. These are 4 classic emerging markets: Brazil, Russia, India, China. These are the 4. So that is how it is called as BRICS. So research by Jim O'Neill of Goldman Sachs 10 years ago highlighted the prominent rise of 4 emerging markets. He said these countries are going to rise and rise like anything. Particularly significant for developed economies because their scale and growth rate was very, very high as compared to those things. Now, if you see the economy, world economy today, the developed countries are facing a kind of a recession, whereas our country is still growing at a good pace, right? Now, since the topic was innovation with entrepreneurship, so I just thought, let me introduce you to some entrepreneur spirit also, or some entrepreneur taste also. So, who's an entrepreneur? So let's have Supandi answer this. Our good friend, we will not forget him. The term entrepreneur has been derived from the French word entreprendre, which means to undertake certain activities or enter. Activities like producing a product, selling and marketing the product, bearing the overheads like pays, rent of the building, wages to labor, interest on capital, generate profit later. A working definition is of an entrepreneur is a person who combines various factors of production, processes, raw materials, converts the raw material into finished products, creates utility, and sells the product in the market to earn profit. Entrepreneurs are made, they are not born. You cannot say that, yeah, sir, he was born with a silver spoon in his mouth. Ratan Tata, what Ratan Tata, what do you teach him? No, boss. He was born with the great JRD Tata's house, and he had everything in his hands. But since you can just see how he has grown, outgrown his father, and how he has become a figure, this figure like this. So, entrepreneur, what are his characteristics? He's an uncertainty period. When you set up an enterprise, there is uncertainty whether the customers will come or not, whether the raw material will arrive on time or not, whether this employee will stick with me or not, whether I will get this profit or not, what will be the government policy in the next budget, something like that. An entrepreneur is also an organizer. He has to organize the things. What should I produce? How should I produce? How much should I produce? That is organization. He is an innovator also. He has to innovate. He has to differentiate his product from the others so that it sells in the market at a price. He's a change agent. He basically becomes an agent of change. Then he's a creator of new system. Since he's introducing something new to the market, once you introduce something new to the market, you become a creator of a new system, and he's a risk taker because he doesn't know the future. He cannot predict, but he can build it up, right? So entrepreneurial activity, especially when accompanied by initiative and resourcefulness, is called as an enterprise. May be defined in various ways. 4 key elements involved in entrepreneurship are innovation, risk-taking, vision, and organizing skill. The capacity and willingness to develop, organize, and manage a business venture along with any of its risk in order to make the profit. The most obvious example of entrepreneurship is starting of any new business, right? So there are 4 types of participants we can talk of in entrepreneurship. There are doers who achieve, who work hard, who are into the business, who understand the intricacies of the business and take action. Then there are dreamers. They do something, but they are not dreaming their project. See, we know that dream is something which doesn't allow you to sleep, basically. That Abdul Kalam ji had said. So, basically, you can't just dream. You have to do some. You have to dream and do something. Both. So, dreamers have to do something. Then, dividers, they are undecided people. Aaj ye kar lete, tomorrow we'll do this. Day after we'll do this. No, they are undecided. Then there are duds. Abandoned their ideas of being an entrepreneur. They have stopped thinking of becoming an entrepreneur. They just want their day-to-day life to go on. They are duds. So entrepreneur characteristics are that are often achieved through education, hard work, and planning. The risk taker. You take a calculated risk in business. You face risk through research, and how do you minimize this risk? Through research, planning, skill development. You acquire the necessary skills, you acquire the necessary resources, and you plan to put your things in action. So that is how it is there. Perspective. Entrepreneurs view problems as opportunities and challenges. They are thinking of new ways to solve the people's problem. They're thinking of opportunity everywhere. There is an opportunity. This market is going to help me out. This is a challenge for me. I have to beat that product. And they are curious. They like to know how things work. They take time and initiative to pursue the unknown part of it. They are imaginative. They are creative. Imagine solutions to the problems that encourage them to create new products and generate ideas. They are persistent. They persist with their ideas. They face bureaucracy, make mistakes, receive criticism, deal with money, family, or stress problems, but still stick to their dream of seeing the venture succeed. And that is what makes them successful. If somebody says Tata became successful with Nano, please see, number of things were there. There were number of problem issues. I will just cite them in the end also. Goal setting. Entrepreneurs are motivated by excitement of starting a new business. Once achieved, they seek out new goals and ventures to try. They have self-confidence, they believe in themselves, and this takes care of any doubts they have. This is very important trait in any individual. Flexible. They are flexible to change in order to adapt to the change, whatever is happening. The response time to the market, to the technological change, to the rules, to the economic environment is very fast, swift, flexible. Independent. The entrepreneur's for control and ability to make decisions often makes it difficult for them to work in a controlled environment. They like independence. They take on the decision, let's persist with it, let's work on it. They're very hardworking and they have a lot of energy. They're not deterred by long hours to achieve their goal. Right? Now, let's come down to stages of entrepreneurship. Stage 1 is the dreamer. This is where the idea for business is born. Ideation part. The dream is culmination of entrepreneurs' life experiences and passions. Stage 2 is the architect. This is the stage where the dream is interpreted into a business model, which becomes blueprint of the venture. The dreamer typically does not make a good architect because he's dreaming. It is an abstract thing. So to put an abstract thing into a physical shape is difficult. Stage 3 is the builder. This is the stage where the dream can first become a reality. First prototype is born here. The builder then literally turns the dream into reality. We are now at a critical juncture of the venture. This is very critical here. Stage 4 is the cultivator. This is the growth stage. Once the business is launched, the cultivator's primary role is to guide the business through various levels of growth. Now, classifying the entrepreneurs, there are various types. One of them is an innovative entrepreneur. Such entrepreneurs introduce new goods or new methods of production or discover new markets or reorganize the enterprise. Examples of first movers include innovative companies such as eBay, Coca-Cola. eBay was the first company to take the auction process online, kicking off operations in 1995. In nearer home, we have got examples of Ola cabs, Oyo rooms, and so on and so forth. Innovative entrepreneurs. Initiative, they are imitative or adaptive entrepreneurs. Such entrepreneurs do not innovate, they copy a technique of others. Such entrepreneurs are significant for underdeveloped economies because they put such economies on a high rate of economic development. Example, Chinese mobiles. Somebody launches a mobile, they copy it, give the technology at a cheaper rate, take it. Prime movers, this entrepreneur sets in motion a powerful sequence of development, expansion, and diversification of business. Examples are Ambani's doing a lot of work on this. Managers, such an entrepreneur doesn't initiate expansion and it's content in just staying in the business. Then there are artists. They are highly creative type, very conscious about their business. Amir Khan is there, Michael Dell is there, Deep Kalra, and so many of them. Visionary, too focused on dream with little focus on reality. Jack Welch from GE, Bill Gates, Microsoft, Kishore Biani, Fisher Group, Warren Buffett, Sam Walton, a lot of them examples. Entrepreneurship is very important in the economic sense, in the social sense, or in the psychological sense. For economic sense, it contributes to the nation's wealth, creates job opportunities, helps in invention, innovation, technology development, creates a competitive environment. For the social side, it raises the income standard of living, promotes self-employment, and helps solving a social problem, sows seeds for small enterprises, Psychological helps people fulfill creative urge, helps in self-expression and independence. Need of entrepreneurship, it increases the national production, balanced area development, dispersal of economic power, reinvestment of profit for the welfare of the area of profit generation. Development is a function of motivation and human resource and entrepreneurship awareness. Okay, fine. Steps to promote entrepreneurship. Set up entrepreneurship development institutes in every state. Recognize and celebrate entrepreneurship among youth as a preferred career. We can tell our students to become entrepreneurs and going for this kind of a thing, right? Enhance access to finance for startups in every possible way. Reduce time of starting a business and ease down the complex procedures of government licensing and other such activities such as financing, banking, etc. This has happened very recently. Promote entrepreneurship among women and other underprivileged sectors. Now, there are certain threats from the emerging markets. Increasingly large pool of skilled but low cost labor. They've got a large pool of skilled but low cost labor. This is a threat. Why it is a threat? Because it is basically not in line with the principle of industrialization. Undervalued currencies make their exports cheaper, inadequate protection of brand and other intellectual properties there, state subsidy of industries to make them more competitive globally. Opportunities available in the emerging markets, growing numbers of educated middle class consumers. So you have got this translates into growing consumer spending, cultural shifts, higher demand for personal products, private education and healthcare, demand for infrastructure and other products and services from developed economies is coming up. Source of high skilled but low cost labor, outsourcing, offshoring is happening. Great potential for joint ventures and acquisitions. Then risk is political instability. Cultural differences are there. We are not adapt to the culture of the other people. Variable approaches to financial and legal dealings. Laws are different. Corruption and bureaucracy is still an issue. Emerging markets become major exporters. Low cost production makes developed economies uncompetitive in some markets. Example is of Indian IT. India now dominates the global market for offshoring of its IT-enabled services. A lot of people have set up their offices or having work from home facilities for Indian IT professionals. A lot of them are here. Now, why the businesses increasingly operate overseas? To grow revenues directly, exporting, cross-border acquisitions and joint ventures are possible. Organic growth overseas is possible. Moving production overseas to enable faster lead times to consumer or to reduce cost. So what people are trying to do is trying to locate their facilities near to the consumer so that the lead times are reduced. Increasing use of offshoring, sorry. And the attractions of international markets are stronger economic growth in emerging economies, market saturation and maturity for the developed countries, easier to reach international customers using e-commerce. You have just to click on the mobile and you can reach anywhere, get a product of your choice. Greater government support for businesses wishing to expand overseas. Government is helping them like anything with a lot of relaxations. Shareholder pressure to grow revenues and profits through international expansion is also there. And the emerging markets also provide an opportunity to enter into new markets for market development, taking for existing products, brands and services, reaching relevant customers in international markets, diversification, developing new products for new geographical areas. Most investments in the emerging markets by UK firms has been in the form of market development. Global brands have led to a stampede into the emerging markets. This is the most important reason for expansion into the emerging markets. Global brands need to operate globally. By definition, they need to be active in fast-growing emerging markets as well as having established market shares in developed countries. This is again a pressure. So there are different methods of reaching emerging markets. You can be exporting directly to the customers. UK businesses take orders from international customers and shift them to the customer destination. Selling via overseas agents and distributors, opening an operation overseas. You can have a physical office also, which is selling. A lot of Indian companies are doing it, setting up their own offices outside the country. Joint venture or buying businesses overseas, again, another very popular approach. In the international arena, their key respecters are the cultural differences. A business needs to understand local cultural influences in order to sell its product effectively. For example, a product may be viewed as a basic commodity at home, but not in the target overseas market. And language issues, although the common business language is English, but there could be certain language issues. And sometimes an English word in a native language would mean something different, which might uh, force a company to withdraw a product. There is a classic example of a car in China, which was launched. Legislation varies widely in overseas markets, will affect how to sell them. So this is an important thing. Then another export option. Another option is exporting directly. Advantages are used in existing system. E-commerce is available. Online promotion makes this cost effective. Can choose orders, which orders to accept or which not to accept. Direct customer relationship is established. Can choose basis of payment also. Disadvantage, potentially bureaucratic. You need to get certain clearances for doing it. No direct physical contact with the customer. No risk of non-payment. If the customer defaults on payment, what will happen? And customer service process may need to be extended. Then there is another option, selling via agents and distributors. Agent or distributor should have specialist market knowledge and of the existing customers. Fewer transactions. You should have fewer transactions to handle. You and helps you to reduce the transactions because he's doing it on his own. So customers are with the dealer, and from the agent you can just take it up. Can be cost effective. Commission on distribution margin is variable but not fixed. Disadvantage is lost profit margin because the agent will also take his profit. Unlikely to be an exclusive arrangement. How the agent might be selling other products also, similar products also, and might dilute your offer. Harder to manage the quality of service. Agent distributor keeps the customer relationships. Then another option is to open overseas operation. You can have an office there. Then this will help you have a local contact, quickly gain detailed insight into the market, and avoid tariff benefits. But there is significant cost involved and high risk is involved. Another option is joint venture or acquisition. In joint venture, it's a popular way of entering the market, buying into the existing expertise and market presence. But it might go wrong. Like a marriage, it might go wrong. You might not be compatible, and then you might lose the competitiveness. Innovation की बात कर रहे थे, तो there are two types of innovations which are basically dealt with. Frugal innovation, this will be used to describe innovations developed or adopted for needs of emerging market economies. This is more important for us. Reverse innovation describes innovations originally developed or adopted in emerging market economies, which later became prominent in mature world markets. This is the example is GE's low-cost ECG machine, which was developed somewhere in Karnataka and is now making ECG very cheap in the world. Characteristics of frugal innovation, it is distinctive in its means and ends. The example is Mitty-Cool, the refrigerator. It's a frugal innovation for refrigerator for the poor at a lower cost, taking needs of the poor consumers in emerging economies as a starting point and working backwards, responding to limited resources, turning constraint into advantage. There is a fellow who has made a washing machine which washes without water. Innovation is happening. Designing products to meet those needs, using low-cost technology, resulting in dramatically lower cost products and services, rethinking production processes, developing a new business model. Innovation is more about technology. The 4 P's of innovation are paradigm, the mental model, the mindset of innovation is required, product or services, incremental part, doing what we can better do. What can we do? Positioning, how you want to position the product. And then the process, how do you want to manufacture the product? These are the 4 P's which are required. Innovation, just see this Lambi scooter, most of the younger people would not have seen. We saw it when we were small kids. उसके बाद नहीं नजर आया कहीं पे ये. And now you can have a Tata Nano car. For the family, it was called as a family scooter, but then Tata Nano became the family car. So innovation is in the target for the product or service offering, and the story about the business tells about it. Tata Nano has been targeted at growing Indian and middle class and positioned as substitute for scooters and small motorbikes rather than competing with small cars. They have repositioned their products. That is the importance of it. What the West can learn from emerging markets: a culture of jugaad, of creative improvisation, a huge market growing and aspirational middle class, which creates perfect conditions for frugal innovation. Not only is the Indian consumer base growing, but it is extremely price sensitive and willing to experiment. Extreme conditions and major gaps in service provision stimulate demand for low cost solutions in health, education, and energy. All of them. Arvind Eye Care is another example of innovation, frugal innovation. Earlier, the doctors were doing 400 operations per doctor. Now it is 2,600 operations. Pricing has come down, and they've created a paying versus non-paying community. Systematic approaches there. Technology is there. Intraocular lenses are available at less than $5, and it was a go-to-market strategy. Adaptation, innovation. McD is an example. Vegetarian selections to suit Indians, 40% veg in McDonald's. Maharaja Max has been replaced by Big Mac. No beef or pork items. It's respect for local culture. Bringing more connectedness to introducing Mac Aloo and Mac Masala, garlic-free sauces. This is what is happening. So 75% in India, 33% in Asia. This is localization in terms of menu. Then listening to what the customers wants and adapting to it would result in innovation. You had a dosa burger also, but it was withdrawn because it didn't receive very good response. Innovation can need not be applied end to end, can be applied to any phase across the businesses. Then in the context, what is the context of innovation? Understanding the context is the key for innovation. It is all the more true for value conscious bottom of pyramid customers, which is the large chunk of customers. When businesses fail to understand the context, it takes a nosedive. 9 out of 10 startups fail because of this. Let's learn from some of the failures. iPhone was not an India phone. Great innovation success story in developed countries. Hardly 1,500 sets in India. As of December 28, they had to change the system. So, Pandi, you would have seen this. We forgot this fellow. He wants to ask a question. Somebody would have seen this. This is the good old pager. And this is the STAD imputer story. Pager was an imputer basically. It was a great technological innovation. Text to speech software, Unix, GNU, Linux based gesture writing was there. It was priced about 12,500 rupees. Hardly sold 4,000 units. Very few deployments. And then they failed to understand the system and were overpowered by mobiles. Then, what is this Pundi's philosophy about innovation? Doing innovation is much easier than understanding. See, you can innovate. How can you understand this? What is writing cosmic energy coupled with atomic energy in evolution of mankind with programming of Java? See, it's very difficult. It is a jargon which many people will not understand. But if they are innovating, let these words come in. These are specific words. Framework for bottom-up pyramid innovation. You need price performance, innovation, scale of operations, sustainable development, process innovation, rescaling of work, education of customers, interfaces, distributions, etc. Let me give you some concluding examples of people who have succeeded. Amul, Grameen Bank, Tele, then is the ICICI Direct. It's a paid platform, third largest in the world, integrated platform. Scalability is there. Then this is PCO solutions, Bharat Matrimony. Most of the marriages are happening here. Trust platform, innovative pricing, scalable. And to end it, every big enterprise starts with a small dream. So keep dreaming. Thank you very much for inviting me here. And it's been a nice session. I thank the authorities of City University, especially Dr. Atipriye, Madam Apurva, for giving me this opportunity to interact with you this morning and share my thoughts. So thank you very much. Over to you, the organizers now. Thank you. Any questions? I am welcome. The organizers.
Thank you so much, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, sir, for the wonderful session.
Thank you, ma'am.
Very interesting and informative too. Thank you for sparing time for us. And I request IT team to please show the appreciation certificate to the sir.
Thank you. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much, sir. I'll be sharing this certificate by email too.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you.
Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you. Okay. Have a good day. Bye-bye.